Hurricane.
Hurricane season. Oh gosh. You're right. We don't even want to think about it. No, every single time I am the end of the line, I get to bathe in Haynes Creek. That's what you do. All right. So this year, we listened to an emergency management call yesterday with the Department of Health, with ACA. They're very worried about hurricane season, especially with this spike in COVID cases. They do not want people going to shelters and congregating. So their new slogan, instead of know your zone, they're changing it to know your home. So those in the middle of the state, they want you to know most structures, if it's not a mobile home, will withstand a Category 1 or 2 storm. So they're saying if it's a Category 1 or 2 storm, to hunker down and stay at home, of course, except for healthcare workers, which you guys get to come in here and slumber party with me for a little while. Now, we still are inviting families in, but we would like to encourage as much as possible, because we want to keep COVID out, of course, and we don't know who has it. A lot of times young people have it and they don't know they have it. Children, they're finding, get it at a lot higher rate than what they thought, and they have shown no symptoms. So they could bring it in and pass it on to some of our frail elderly that we take care of in here, so we don't want that to happen. So we were going to go over some things for disaster planning. This is, I gave you kind of a family disaster plan, so you can go over that. I also wanted to go over fire, what to do in case of a fire or inclement weather. So the family disaster plan, that's for you to keep and rely and look at and kind of get some ideas as to what to do at home. Make plans, of course. We will still have a daycare for the employees' children if we should have a hurricane. Of course, we'll get together if we should have one and talk about it if we know that there's one coming our way. Let's see. So in case of a fire, if you guys see a fire, can somebody tell me what we are to do if we see a fire?
Close the door.
What's that?
Contain it. Try to contain it to the
So what's the acronym we do first? RACE.
Oh.
Good answer though, Vera. What's our very first thing we do? What's the R?
Rescue.
Rescue. There you go. So how do you rescue in this facility? Let's say,
Close all the doors.
wait, is the patient in the room if you close the door?
Take her out of the room.
Okay, so what if there's a fire in 417? I'm going to pick 417 because there's nobody in that room.
Get the patient.
So get the patient in 416 out,
And then
Right.
close the door.
and then close the door. All right. So depending on the size of the fire, if the fire is big and billowing, where are we going to take all these patients? What's that? The other side of the fire door. And where are the fire doors? Those double doors that automatically close. That's right. Those are smoke and fire doors. So a fire can be up against those doors for 4 hours. Raging 4 hours. Those walls go all the way up to the ceiling. No smoke can penetrate and get through them.
I never knew that.
See? Learned something today. So it can be raging for 4 hours and it will not get through those doors. It won't get through that wall that goes all the way across there, so they are safe. We have 4 hours then to move them on. If this fire gets out of control, we got to keep moving to the next compartment and the next compartment and maybe out the door. Whatever we have to do. Has anybody ever been in a fire? All right, so tell me about it. What's the most deadly part of a fire? Smoke. Smoke, yes. Yes. Do our beds fit through our doors?
No.
No. So how do we get the patients out of the rooms?
Foyer. barrier.
If they can get to their wheelchair, you can push them out.
That's right, you can get to the wheelchair,
If they can't, then you have to use some type of slide mechanism.
right? We have some fireman's carries that we can use. We can have some sheets, put them on a sheet, and slide them, whatever way you can do it. Whatever it takes to get them out of the loop, get them out. When I was young and dumb and I was a CNA in college, I worked in a 3-story county home building. Young and dumb. A 3-story county home building, and the boiler blew up in the basement. This was 9 o'clock at night. And so we had to get those patients. We had an Alzheimer's unit that was at the very top. And we had to get them down the stairwell. Because no elevators work during a fire. So I am so thankful that we are 1 story. Where are the most common places that a fire occurs in a facility? Laundry. Laundry. Laundry is the #1 place. You think it's the dryers, that's exactly right. Lengthen the dryers.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so you rescue. What's the A?
Alarm.
Alarm. And so you pull one of the fire alarm pull stations, right?
Yeah.
All right. And then what do we do?
Contain.
Contain. How do we contain?
Get them out of the fire door.
Behind the fire door.
Close the fire doors. Get the fire alarm, fire extinguisher over there if it's containable. There's a little trash can fire.
Fire blanket.
Fire blanket, that's right. And then what's the E? Extinguish or escape?
Evacuate.
Or evacuate, right, one or the other. Okay. How do you use the fire extinguisher?
Sweet.
Pass.
Right, girl.
Pull and squeeze. Point and squeeze.
There you go. Pull in, aim,
And squeeze. And then
squeeze and sweep. And you sweep at the base, right? At the base of the fire. Okay. So the alarm is going off, okay, all throughout the building. What do we do in the rest of the building?
Shut doors, get patients in safe places.
Put the patients in their rooms. Why do we put patients in their rooms by themselves? They are fire doors. They are 1-hour smoke-rated fire doors. So there could be a fire on the outside of that door for an hour and it won't penetrate that door. So they are 1-hour doors. That's why you close those doors. Otherwise, it's just going to sweep right in there. So, and then what do we clear the hallways, right?
Yes.
So anything on wheels, those med carts, anything on wheels, anything we can move, we got to move out of these hallways and the areas that go back to the bedrooms. So all these little cubby holes back here, we need to pull all that stuff and put it over here so it's out of the way into the common areas.
I have a question.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think the thing that confuses me the most when I hear the alarm go off is 2 things. I don't know if it's real or a test. And then how do you know where the fire is located in the building?
So somebody should announce code red and the location 3 times over the loudspeaker.
Okay.
Yes. But if you just hear the fire alarms going off, always assume it's real. Always assume it's real.
But how do you know where it is if nobody tells you, like how do you figure out?
Well, if you don't smell smoke, then when you go into the rooms and close the doors and you don't smell any smoke, then you can assume it's safe to put that patient in that room.
Okay.
Because I guarantee there's going to be a lot of commotion where the fire is.
Do we not
What's that?
account for our patients? Do we not count how many we've got, where we put them?
And so when the evacuation, when everything's over, then we should fund. Yes, absolutely. So the nurses and the CNAs for each group should make sure that you can account for all of your patients after the emergency is over, that you know where everybody is.
And once the fire door closes,
Yes, once the fire door closes, you don't go through it. unless you're going to help. Now, if your office staff going, streaming to go help, you can go help. Yes, but regular, nursing staff, you stay where you are. Therapy staff, you stay where you are. Unless you're treating patients in the main chain, then you want to close those doors and stay with those patients there.
How do you stop people from going out the back door when it's a drill?
Yeah, they should not be going out the back door.
But they tell you they come home and they go anyway.
Ah, that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. Okay, so any questions about fire? We're going to talk about inclement weather and a tornado warning. So what if we have a tornado? Well, first of all, we have a tornado watch. What happens when we have a tornado watch?
Close all the blinds.
What's that?
Close the blinds.
So first, your phones go off, the weather radios go off. We do have weather radios in each nurse function room. You can see the alarms on there and they will go off. When we have a tornado watch, that means that we need to be alert. So we need to let the patients know and we need to be alert. We really don't do anything much different in this building for a watch other than to start tying down stuff outside. So the floor guys, the floor techs should start moving stuff close to the building. All right, so if it's a tornado warning, then what do we do?
You bring the patients away from the windows and you close the blinds.
There you go. Close the blinds, bring them away from the window. Now the safest place for them to be is in their rooms. It is in their rooms with the blinds closed, coming closer to the inside wall than the outside wall. But because it is such a, they always tell you to go into your bathroom. The reason is because it's harder to explode walls in a smaller space. Now, a tornado can go up to 300 miles an hour in the state of Florida. Winds. That's a lot faster, a lot stronger than a hurricane. Luckily, they're more concentrated. They tear up buildings. Right. So they should be in the rooms. Now, if you hear that there's a tornado coming our way, give the residents blankets to possibly cover their heads so that they can cover their heads in case there's falling glass. Of course, keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on them. But the most important thing is to be calm, and it usually only lasts about an hour, a tornado warning. They know where they have pretty good technology now where they can track them, and they know where they're going to go.
Hey, on these double rooms when you walk in,
Uh-huh.
they got that little section where the closets.
That's a very safe place.
That's what I was gonna ask, could we take them and put them in
If they have that
area?
area, absolutely, that's a very safe place.
And then,
Yep. Yep. If you hear the train coming, everybody know that a tornado sounds like a choo-choo train. Huh?
pucker your butt. That's what my mom always said, when there's tornado comes, pucker your butt.
All right, any questions about tornadoes? So we all know if there's a hurricane on the way, then we all have to come in and be here for our next shift. And if the winds are going to pick up above 40 miles an hour in the county, that means we need to get here before the winds pick up before 40 miles an hour. It's your responsibility to make sure that you make it here. One way or another, you have to get here.
But it is not.
Shut the blinds.
But it's not a tornado.
Okay, let's see. COVID is expanding quickly in our area. It is a responsibility for healthcare workers to be safe out there. You guys need to be safe and not go out without a mask. Be sure to protect yourselves so you don't bring it in here. We don't want it in here. They're having huge, very large outbreaks in a number of the facilities in the area. Leesburg Hospital has about 29 patients at the moment. Waterman has 31 patients at the moment. There have been very sad stories happening with this latest uptick and surge. It's been a much higher viral load than it was before. So please, please, be careful out there. Yes, ma'am? Oh, okay.
With the COVID the way it is now, and we know it's gonna intensify, would you please communicate a little more to us so that we know what's going on?
What's that?
When it comes down to the COVID here,
Uh-huh.
please communicate. Please
Absolutely.
communicate, because communication right now is not on the level that I thought it would have to be. With this,
You get the information as we get the information.
I'm always checking our website. If a patient got COVID or have tested positive COVID or staff,
We don't have a single patient in the facility that has tested positive for COVID.
okay.
And if we did, you
If a
would know.
staff have, how are we gonna communicate to each other that somebody has?
So those that have been exposed have been spoken to.
Okay.
Okay.
Not those that's around them?
What's that?
What if they was around someone, the other patients or clients?
Right, so we are investigating that.
Okay.
Yep, along with the health department. Yes.
I did another thing too, like,
Yes, ma'am.
we test for the COVID, we don't get a test back.
Okay,
They
so
say that we're
the,
negative or
Yes.
positive.
you would get a call if
The
you were
last two
positive.
of them, I have done, I never heard anything about it.
So you're negative.
I
No
understand, but
negative.
I haven't
sometimes
either, and I assume I'm negative.
I can give you copies.
Yeah, that's what
Otherwise,
I'm saying.
Debbie-
I can, just come to me, I can give you copies of your test, that's no problem at all. And also, it's a requirement that everybody be tested every 2 weeks. I personally think that's a great idea, and I'm so thankful that the state of Florida is supplying our tests in order to do it. Now, our tests are given to us from different labs. So it depends on, because they're all the tests in the state of Florida couldn't come from one lab. So they're different, so the ones last week were different from the ones this week. The ones last week was a nasal swab, and the ones this week are cheeks. Now, the lab that just sent us the tests for this time sent us almost 500 tests, so it'll be enough for 2.5 times of testing. Thank goodness. So that's a cheek swab.
Next time I might be back.
Cheek.
Oh,
Cheek.
Cheek.
Yes. So I don't know what the next one will be. But, but this is a little easier test on your body. I am told that it is equivalent in terms of reliability. So we'll see. Yes, ma'am.
So next week, on Wednesday, will we have another testing since we had the first one?
Well, so what the state did is they kind of combine all these, and as of July 7th, then we start the 2 weeks again. So anybody in this room who did not test last Wednesday or Thursday, or it has not been tested this week, must go today to Mary Alice to be tested. And I have a list of the names, let's see. Gabby, you're on there. Selena, Ben, not to call you guys out, you just remember to go down. And anybody else in this room, those are just the names I've been handed.
and it's better, it was better.
Yes,
It's better than all.
it is. It's an easier test for those of you who are spared.
No, when I started this job, I think
So please, be careful out there. If you don't feel comfortable, if you're going to be with a patient close up, I recommend wearing a face shield. Ford Motor Company, thank you Lord, sent us a bunch of face shields. I don't know where they got them or how they made them, but they sent us a bunch of face shields. You guys use them. Use them. If you're going to be up close and personal with a patient, put a face shield on. It's for your protection and their protection too. The patients that you see over here, all that have the boxes up, the reason they have the boxes up is because they came from the Leesburg Regional Hospital. We did get a negative test on them initially. However, maybe they were exposed after that negative test. They had a lot of exposures in the since last Wednesday. So we want to be safer than sorry. So we're bringing them in, we're letting them cook for a little while, doing another nasal swab, see if we get a positive or a negative to see what we get to make sure that we're being safe.
And then we have 4th of July weekend coming up, 4th
Oh,
of
yeah.
July. Just be careful out there in the community because, you know, do all the things that you normally do and try to stay away from big crowds because it's ugly out there right now. So wear your masks. I mean, I know there's people that aren't wearing it and they look at you like they're crazy, but I tell you what, I'll just be crazy because I'm wearing mine everywhere I go. And my family is wearing theirs that I live with, that I, you know, they wear theirs everywhere they go because it's crazy out there, right, Deb? And
It
so,
definitely is. There are whole families right now that have COVID and have symptoms. There's a physician at the Villages Hospital. Her husband was 39 years old and he died yesterday. Yes. We have to be careful. This is not anything to joke about. This is not anything to play with. This is something, this is real. And with the great infection control practices that David's been doing throughout the facility, wiping everything down, you guys also can always use your hand sanitizer, wipe everything down, clean everything. It's going to take all of us, but it's best that we, you know, stay away from large crowds this weekend.
Are they gonna get more of these?
What's that?
You're gonna get more of masks like this?
Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me. So the mask lady said that if you bring in material of masks that of what you want it, you know, the material you like, if it's 100% cotton, then, and I'll give you the pattern, you cut it out for her and she will sew it. So she'll and put the Halyard 600 mask material, you know, she'll line it appropriately. So we can have personalized masks now, okay? Yes, ma'am.
Are we still not allowed to use face shield in the hallways?
Right,
In case
so,
if we're getting patients in a group and all, and we'll
so that's not my rule, that's CDC and office rule. So face shields are for close contact with a patient inside the room. So when you're in there, when you come out of the room, you should wash your face shield with soap and water and carry it. Then you put it on with the next encounter with the next patient. That's the appropriate way to wear a face shield.
I don't think they did this. I just wanted.
Because the face shield can collect stuff on the outside and they want to know that you've washed it before you left the room. And then didn't spread whatever you collected on the outside of that face shield to the next patient next door.
Yeah, but could you
Yes.
use one face shield for each room and just leave it in there?
You can.
And then whoever goes in there, they got that mask.
And then just wash it when you're done and then put it,
And
hang it
then
back
you don't
up.
have to worry about them coming out of the room.
You would have to have 2 in a room because you couldn't treat 16
Yeah, that's true.
and walk to the next.
You would have to have
room
2 in the
With
room.
the same.
You're exactly right.
One for each room.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that. But all of you, I'd like to assign all of you a face shield so you can wear it out there in the community too. Go grocery shopping, wear your face shield.
Can we
You know?
decorate them?
You can do whatever you want to them, as long as you can still see out of them and disinfect them.
as long as you can disinfect them, yes.
As long as you can disinfect them.
That had offer thing that said Dr. Lowe.
Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, thank you folks, let's have a great day.